You pulled $20,000 from your 401k, just 20. So why is the IRS taxing you like you draw out 37,000? Surprisingly, that gap is no accident, ally. It's a trap. In fact, and here is the portion that should make you sit up, heterosexual, notably that trap has almost nothing to do with how much money you have salvage. Think about it this way. It has everything to do with the order you turn your income on. You could have done everything right. Saved for 30 age, pay off the house, lived below your means, and still walk straight into it simply because you flipped the damage substitution first. Get that order of magnitude damage, and you can mit the government tens of thousands of bucks you never had to part with. Now, most folks your age are sitting on 3 different paycheck weight in retirement. There is your 401k or traditional IRA. There is social protection. And for some of you, there is a pension off. They all feel like income. But here's the thing. They don't play by the same rules, not flush close. One of them you control completely, one of them you can speed up or slow down, and one of them just bend on whether you like it or not. In fact, mix them in the damage sequence and they piece of work against each other. That is exactly where good people get burned. Not because they did not save enough, but because nobody ever told them the order of magnitude mattered. Before I display you the right order, do me one quick favor. If you're the kind of person who would rather support your money than donate it to the IRS by accident, go ahead and tap that ilk button and sign so these retirement breakdowns living finding you. And here's the thing. That one click tells YouTube to show this to some other retiree who needs it. All right, let's get into it. No doubt, let me set the table fast. Bucket 1, your 401k or traditional IRA. Every dollar you pull comes out assessed as ordinary income, just like a paycheck from work, because you never paid tax on that money going in. The good news, this is your most flexible lever. Once you're yesteryear 59 and a 1/2, you decide when and how much. Required withdrawal, the RMDs, don't force your hand until age 73. Bucket 2, Social Security. You can switch it on as early as 62, but you lock in a welfare cut of about 30% for life. Here's the deal. Delay until 70 and your check turned by roughly 8% every 12 months you hold off. Let me put it this way, about 77% more than the early figure. Now here's what most citizenry never realize. Frankly, societal security is not taxed based on how big your check is. It's your other income that decide how much of it gets taxed. Read that double, folk. Your other income decides. Pale tierce, your pension. Fewer citizenry have these anymore, but if you do, it's usually a fixed check that switch on automatically when you retire or at 65. You rarely get to time lag it, and it's taxable as ordinary income. So a pension quietly fills up your taxable income floor before you touch anything else. So what do most good, careful people do? They takings the sequence that feels safe. They claim mixer security early because it feels guaranteed. Obviously, they let the 401k sit and grow because somebody told them ne'er to touch it. And the pension off turns on whenever it turns on. Certainly sounds responsible, doesn't it? And here is the uncomfortable truth. That safe-sounding order is just what springs 3 tax traps that can cost you a small fortune. Basically, stay with me because once you see these 3 traps, the right order becomes obvious. Trap number 1 is the big one. I call it the Social Protection Tax Gunslinger. The IRS uses a special figure called your combine income. Surprisingly, that is your adjusted gross income asset, any tax-exempt interest, plus half of your Social Security. As that figure climbs yesteryear's certain line, more of your Social Security get dragged onto your tax return. Definitely, for a married couple, once compound income passes $32,000, up to half your benefit becomes taxable. Past $44,000, up to 85% of it can be taxed. For singles, those lines are $25,000 and $34,000. Now listen to this. Those thresholds were set dorsum in 1983 and have never once been adjusted for inflation. Never. While everything in your life got more expensive, basically, those lines stayed frozen in time. Let me display you what that does. Say you're a spouse, combined income sitting right at $43,000, just under the line. You pull in supernumerary $2,000 from your 401k for a vacation. Here's the deal. That $2,000 pushes you over, and suddenly about $1,700 of your social protection becomes non-exempt too. So, you withdrew $2,000, but you created $3,700 of non-exempt income. No doubt, in the 22% angle bracket, that small holiday climb down cost you over $800 in tax. That's an effective charge per unit north of 40% on your own money. Definitely, and friend, you're not alone in getting caught by this. Think about it this way. In fact, well over half of retirees now pay tax on their societal security. I know that's a lot. Let me brand it simpleton. Pulling the damage buck from the wrong place does not get taxed once, it acquired tax twice. That brings us to trap number 2. Sometimes, and this one is sneaky because it hides for 2 whole years, it's called Medicare IRMAA, the income-related monthly adjustment amount. Plain English, if your income runs too high, your Medicare premium go up. And here's the twist that acquire people. Look, IRMAA looks back at your tax return from 2L to go. Naturally, so your 2026 premiums are quite based on what you earned in 2024. Also, for 2026, the first line sits at $109,000 for singles and $218,000 for couples. Cross it by a single dollar, and you pay a surcharge on top of the standard premium. Truth is, for a couple, that can run well over $2,000 a 12-month. It's like the IRS and Medicare teamed up for a delayed punch you never see coming. Notably now, I know that's a lot of numbers stacking up in 2-year lookbacks and lines you can't see. Take a breath, friend. You don't need to memorize any of this. The thing is, you just demand to know these traps exist so you can step around them. That's the whole job. Stay with me. Naturally, and there's a quieter third trap, mostly for higher income folks, the net investment income tax. Pull too much in 1 year and an extra 3.8% can pile on top of everything else once you cross $200,000 for singles or $250,000 for duet. Most of you will never trip it. The thing is, but here's why it still matters. It's proof that one oversized withdrawal can set off taxes you did not even more or less cognize were waiting, which is the whole reason we spread these moves out. On top of that, now here's where it gets really important, and I promise this next part changes how you believe about all of it. How does $20,000 look like 37? It's not that your back down quite gets taxed at 85%. Certainly it's that the back down drags a big chunk of your social protection onto the homecoming alongside it. Think about it this way. A spouse twosome with $40,000 in benefits sitting at that $44,000 line who pulls $20,000 from an IRA, they can shuffle some other $17,000 of their Social Security taxable on top of the $20,000. 20 plus 17, there's your $37,000 of phantom income, money you were taxed on that never even hit your checking account. So let me ask you something directly. Do you in reality know what your combined income is right now? Not a rough guess, the real number? Think about it this way, because that one figure is the difference between keeping your money and donating it by mistake. And quick reminder, this is for education, kind of only not tax or financial advice. So run your own numbers or sit down with a qualified planner before you brand a move. Here's the good news. And it's the opposite of what feels safe. Generally, the herd order is to flip the script. Use your most flexible money first. Certainly delay Social Security if you possibly can, and treat your pension as the baseline you plan around. In plain terms, in the old age right after you withdraw, before you switch on Social Security, you live off cash, your taxable securities firm account, and strategic 401k withdrawals. Why? Because every clam you pull from your 401k before you claim social protection cannot trigger the torpedo. It cannot. You haven't turned Social Security on yet, so there's nothing to drag onto the tax return. Think about it this way, and those pretty much years are golden for another ground. Of course, with your income temporarily low, you can convert money from your traditional IRA into a WTH. Pay tax now at the 12 or 22% rate, while none of the traps are armed. Naturally, that Roth money grows tax-free, and when you pull it ulterior, it stays invisible to all 3 traps. Here's the bottom line. It doesn't count in your combined income. It doesn't trip IRA. Truth is now, if you have already watched our breakdown on where to pulling your funds from number 1 in retirement, you know this bucket order of magnitude is the unit game and claiming order of magnitude is the other half of that same coin. Conceive of it as 2 phases. Phase 1 is the conversion window from the day you retire to age 70, low income, lots of control. Stage 2 is age 70 and beyond, where you substitution on Social Security at its maximum and live on a smart blend of societal protection, a now smaller traditional IRA. As well, that tax-free Roth bucketful you built. Because you shrank the traditional IRA along the way, your forced withdrawals at 73 stay small and manageable instead of rocketing you into the trap later in life. Here's the bottom line. Let me brand it real. Return Tom. He retires at 62 and his pension does not start until 65. On top of that, so for 3L'd, Tom lives off his brokerage account and fills up the 12% angle bracket with Roth conversions. At 65, his $40,000 pension off switches on. No doubt also, he eases off to smaller changeover to stay under the IRMAA line. At 70, he claims sociable protection at its richest level. His traditional IRA is now lean and his required back down are gentle, and he tops off his spending with tax-free Roth dollars. No doubt Tom did not earn more than his neighbor he just claimed in a smarter order of magnitude. And there is one fresh piece of good news for 2026. Think about it this way. There is now a new senior deduction up to $6,000 per person, $12,000 for a couple for folks 65 and older running through 2028. It does not erase these traps, but it gives you a little more breathing room in those planning eld. One more ground to be intentional right now. Now I have to be honest with quite you because your situation is your own. This is not one size fits all. If your health is poor, if your savings are thin, if you need the income today, or if you're widowed and the benefit math change, claiming Social Security earlier may be exactly right. And there is nothing wrong with that. The point was never always wait. Sometimes the point is be designed because the wrong order of magnitude can be brutally expensive. And whatever you do, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. Start with the retirement you actually want. Then improve the taxes around it. In fact, so here is your simple decision tree. Actually, 1, do you have a pension off? If yes, fundamentally, it fills your taxable floor and shrinks your window. So guard those IRMAA lines. 2, can you cover your spending without social protection right away? Generally, if yes, delaying becomes a powerful option. Plus, tierce, are you near an IRMAA line or a tax bracket edge? If so, avoid accidental income spikes. That's the whole roadmap. Plus, here's the bottom line, friend. Let me put it this way. The right order of magnitude is not about squeezing the most out of any single account. It's about paying the least tax across your entire retirement, protecting your freedom so you keep more of what you take in. Here's the bottom line. Definitely, for a lot of folks, that means spending your 401k and taxable money first, converting to Roth while the traps are quiet, and leaving societal protection solitary until 70. Be intentional with the succession and the surprises disappear. Let me put it this way. Do this one thing this week if this made you think differently about your own 3 paychecks. Find your real number, combine income number. Then ilk this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Interestingly, because that's how we do this.